Live from the Richard Harris Law Firm Studios, this is the VGK Insider Show with Darren Millard and Ryan Wallace on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Welcome in, Vegas Golden Knights Insider Show, Fox Sports Las Vegas. Ryan Wallace, Darren Millard, Joe Costa, broadcasting live from the Richard Harris Law Firm Studios. We will be with you for the next 2 hours as we bring audio from the Stanley Cup Final Media Day. That is right. Stanley Cup Final Media Day has come and gone. That means all that's left is the Stanley Cup Final. Game 1 will go tomorrow, 5 p.m. local puck drop, as we get you set for Vegas and Carolina, Stanley Cup Final, and an opportunity in front of the Vegas Golden Knights. We are efforting to get Darren Millard up and running. As soon as we have Darren, we will bring him to you. He is in Carolina ahead of games 1 and 2 of the Stanley Cup Final. And we're going to bring you a lot of sound today. We're going to hear from head coach John Tortorella as well as general manager Kelly McCrimmon. You'll also hear from Mitch Marner, Jack Eichel, Mark Stone ahead of a Stanley Cup championship round that, you know, from one side, you look at Carolina, they've been great all season long. For the Golden Knights, they made a coaching change with 8 games left, bring in John Tortorella, and they have ridden that wave all the way to the Stanley Cup Final and an opportunity, a date for their second championship in 3 seasons, their second championship in 9 seasons in the National Hockey League. They have been around for just under a decade, and the Vegas Golden Knights are in their 3rd Stanley Cup Final appearance in under 10 seasons. So without further ado, let's bring in head coach John Tortorella, Kelly McCrimmon, their media availability earlier today at Stanley Cup Final Media Day.
John, this one's for you. I'm just curious, as someone coming in, taking over a team with 8 games left in a season, how do you sort of bond quickly with them as a group, and what do you do to get them acclimatized to your style with that really tight timeline?
You know, we really didn't make a bunch of big changes within the team. You bond by going through experiences together, and yeah, that's what happened. It's a good group. It's a group that can handle themselves. So it's gone very smoothly.
Left side, second row, Steven.
Kelly, your team's obviously had success for the entire existence of the whole time. You've been willing to make the big move, whether it's Jack Eichel or Mark Stone, Carter Hart. What is how much fun is this for you, doing this job and being as aggressive as you are in it?
Well, it probably should be more fun than we appreciate in the moment, right? We have made a lot of big decisions over our time in the league, very bold. I always say, to be big or bold is one thing. You've got to make good decisions, and I think that we've, collectively through our hockey ops, have done a good job of that. And it's, it's exhilarating to win. We're super proud to be back in the finals for the 3rd time in our 9-year existence. It's a privilege. We don't take it for granted. We work real hard. You have to get lucky along the way at times also, and that's kind of been our, that's been our objective right from the opening season.
Right side, second row, Greg.
Hey, Kelly. Pavel Dorofeyev, the goal-scoring output that we've seen from him, was that something that you always knew was sort of inherent in his game, or is it a development that maybe you didn't expect?
Pavel's a goal scorer. That's what our amateur staff saw in him when we drafted him out of Russia. Played in the American Hockey League in Henderson. And I always find with the guys in the American Hockey League early on, you see it in glimpses. And I thought that Pavel really showed that he might be able to do that. He came up and finished the 1 year, played 1 playoff game for us, and then just as really improved. And for me, I'm a big believer that the playoffs make you better as a player. This playoff has been really good for Pavel, not in terms of only his production, but he's really playing well. To me, his game is growing as a really good young player. He's been able to play with some really good players. Our power play was a big part of his production this year, which he was a big part of himself. Now playing on the right side of the Jack Eichel, who's a real good player to play with. So he's made the most of his opportunities, but he really continues to improve, and he is a natural goal scorer.
Left side, front row.
John, you talked a lot about how you trust the group. How does that show up today, right? Media day with all the lights, the cameras. ticket requests, families coming in. How does that show up right now, the day before the Stanley Cup Final?
Well, most of our team is used to it. A lot of our team has traveled this road and found a way to win. This is, we know what today is. We've talked about and we've baked it in as far as how we handle it, and this is no problem for us at all.
Same row, Kevin.
Kelly, signing Carter Hart was controversial in some circles. Can you walk through the thought process of signing him with all the baggage that he brings, and maybe what he has done for the team on and off the ice for himself even?
Yeah, we went through a lengthy process of due diligence with Carter. I wouldn't use the term baggage as you have there, but Carter is a really good person. He's ingrained himself in our community. He's a player that I've known a long time, long prior to him becoming an NHL player, playing very well. Obviously, a big part of how our team is, at this point that we're at today, and he's fit in seamlessly with his teammates.
Stay in that same row, Danny.
John, this for you. 2026 has been a heck of a year for you so far. You had the Olympics, and you had this opportunity. I wonder if you could just express a little bit what this year has been like for you in hockey so far.
Yeah, you know what, Danny? I just don't want to go into me. I'd just rather talk about the team. I'll tell you this, I've been very fortunate to have the opportunities I have had, but we're getting ready for the finals here. That's where I'd like to go as far as answering questions.
Right side, second row, Guillaume.
John, you probably didn't know much about Dominique Ducharme when you took the job, but what does he bring to the coaching staff, and how much did you lean on him when you first? Again,
I like to talk about the team, but I will talk about them and the staff. They have been incredibly. I'm very fortunate to have that staff. I don't think they want me to get involved in talking too much about them because they're focused on the team. But you have no chance as a coach coming in if you don't have a staff like I have. And they lead the way. They know the team better. They know the players better in certain situations, how to coach them. Dom has done a terrific job in the power play, and I lean on him. I lean on all the guys. So very fortunate, again, with the opportunity, and also have the staff when I came into.
Same row, JF.
Hi, John. Just curious, the Hurricanes won against Montreal in 5 Eastern Final. You know the coach in Montreal pretty well, Martin St. Louis. Have you shared any tactical point of view with him? And
I have not talked to Marty. Okay. We've texted. I have not talked to Marty.
But about Marty, how impressed are you to see the road that he's taking as a young head coach?
Yeah, again, we're getting ready for the finals here. The nostalgia and all that stuff, I'm not going there. Marty's a hell of a coach, hell of a person, very good friend of mine. I'd just rather talk about the game itself coming up here.
Right side, front row, Danny.
Kelly, going into the year, there was
Great to ask John?
No.
What do you got, Danny?
So, John, you want to talk? No, I'm good. Obviously, one of the questions going into the year was how would the team replace Alex Pietrangelo? And Shea, throughout the year, has taken on that responsibility, the added minutes, the extra responsibility. How pleased are you with how he's developed into that role, becoming that number one guy that you hoped he would be placing?
Yeah, Shea has had a tremendous year, and the thing that's interesting for me, you think you know a player after he's been in the league a number of years, and Shea's game this season has just added a completely different layer than what we were used to, because he's always been a great puck mover, always been a very good offensive defenseman. With Petro's absence, Shea has become a penalty killer. He never killed penalties prior at all. He's on the ice when it's 6-on-5 against, where he in the past would not have been. And I'm really proud of him, to be honest with you. I think he's really grown into it. I read somewhere he had the most shot blocks in our last series against Colorado. So good on him. It's what our team needed, and it's what he's been able to add. And then, along with Noah Hannafin taking more responsibility, the trade for Rasmus Anderson, always what Braden McNabb gives our team. Those guys have helped to mitigate the loss of Petro on our back end.
Right side standing, Mike.
John, just following up on Greg's question on Dorofeev, you watched him from afar. I mean, anything seeing him that has innate goal-scoring abilities of all the guys that you've coached?
The puck follows him. as I've gotten to know him more and more, I appreciate him more and more as a player. I think he's really worked at his game away from the puck also. But the power play, it just seems to find him. I've listened to some of his interviews after games, and I just like the way he handles himself. He's a hockey player. What he said a couple of weeks ago, it's my job. I think that's the way he thinks. Huge part of our team. So I really didn't know him that well before I came in. You coach out east all the time. You don't really know the lineups here in the West. I've really learned to appreciate him through his whole game.
Yeah, John, you talked a little while ago about how difficult it was to build bonds in a short time with the players. But how have you gotten them to buy into the mentality and attitude you want on the ice? Has it become less X's and O's and more about that mentality?
Yeah, I think the way we coach this staff here, it is more about mindset. X's and O's is that you need to have the foundation of your X's and O's down. This team knows how to play. We change, just subtle little changes here and there. But to me, it was the mindset. And when you have a leadership group like we have in our locker room, and some of the experience that we have that have gone through it, I just think it just worked. We worked very quickly through it. And it's them. It's not me or the coaching staff. It's them. We need to guide them a little bit in certain times when we think they're, just getting off the road a little bit. But they handle themselves so well. That room self-sustains. That's why they're in the finals again this year, and that's why they won it in 23 and have been so successful. It's not coaches being in there. It's a room self-sustaining. We've got good people doing that.
Back to Kevin, left side, front row.
I'm from Toronto, so I'm contractually obliged to ask you about Mitch Marner for either one of you that wants to take the question.
I heard you asked Rod Brindamore.
I did.
Yeah.
What is it about the setup in Vegas that's maybe worked a little better for him this season, certainly in the postseason, than in the past for him?
I did an interview last week. I spoke to that, and for me, I think the change has helped him. But I think our team is deeper and a better team than what he had played on in Toronto. Not that Toronto didn't have real good teams, but you have to have that depth throughout your roster, because to go through 3 rounds or ultimately, hopefully 4 rounds, everybody's got to take their turn. So there's going to be a time where somebody else's line steps up. When you look at Carolina, some of the players on their team that have stepped up, our team is the very same. Mitch is playing with tremendous confidence. I think that he, there's probably 8 or 9 guys on our team that have never been to a final before, and I think he's, really savoring the moment. That would be how I would answer that.
John, anything to add to that?
I just think he's a hell of a hockey player.
That's what Rod Brindamore said.
Right side, front row, Johnny.
My question's for John. Throughout the playoffs, home ice hasn't seemed as advantageous, and you guys had a great start on the road in the conference final. Do you find any advantage of starting the series on the road?
I mean, starting on the road, I don't care what building we play in. I think the most important part of playoff hockey is trying to get better as the series goes on. I think that, and it doesn't matter what building you're playing in. And this isn't way back in the day when there was situations in buildings that there might have been a little bit of intimidation or whatever. It's just not that way in our game anymore. So I don't put too much stock into any building we're playing in. From a coaching point of view, I'm just looking, when we break down the tape after game 1, what do we need to be better at, and try to get better at things. And as the series goes on, I think that's the most important point.
Right side, back row.
Yep. John, I know Rod doesn't like to number his lines, but that second line with Hall and Stankoven and Blake, what has kind of stood out watching?
Not talking about Carolina.
Left side, third row, Corey.
Kelly, I'm wondering, you're a hockey lifer. Eric Tulsky is not a hockey lifer. What's struck you about him as you've gotten to know him a bit as a GM and what the work he's done?
Well, I think Donnie Waddell would have been a real positive influence on Eric. Eric worked under him for a number of years. They've consistently been building their team, and they've done it different ways. They've drafted well. They've made astute trades. They've signed free agents, and those are the things you need to do when you're building a roster. And I guess what I would say, looking at it from the outside, is they've been aggressive in their way of doing that. Right? They have an idea what want it to look like, the type of players that their organization will make good use of, and they go out and get those guys. So that would be just sort of my observation from a distance on what Eric has done here with his team.
Left side back row, Eric.
Kelly, when you called John, you'd never met him before, never spoken to him before. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Why was he the guy?
Well, I think I spoke to this somewhere along the way in the playoffs. We literally asked ourselves, who's Rick Bowness out there? Who can come in and give us that kind of a bump? And John was the guy that we really felt strongly could do that. And that's sort of where it started. And he was the only guy that we talked to. And he was, to me, he's being really modest when you ask him a real good question, Dan, how has his year been? And, I think that he's a guy that's been a really successful coach in the NHL for a long time. We looked at our situation being different than where he's been most recently, and thinking that that's going to be, a setting that he would enjoy. I think he's done a great job of coming in, reading the room, knowing what the team needs, and coaching from that perspective. So that's how we got to John, and that's how was the motivation behind my call to him.
We'll take a couple more. Left side front row, Dan.
Yeah, back to you, John. You, based on where you've worked previously, have coached against the Rod Brind'Amour Carolina Hurricanes many times. You've had more history with them than Vegas. These players in Vegas have had. So how has that helped the team's preparation for this series, with the understanding of you have that history and experience of facing this version of the Hurricanes, which doesn't change?
Yeah, we respect Carolina. Really good team. That's as far as I'm going. We're going to play our game. We're not going to be coming off of our game. So that's the way I'll answer your question. To get involved in what we see, how we're going to play, there's not going to be much change in our game. We're going to play our game and, as I said, try to improve each and every night.
Right side back row, Jim.
Kelly, this one's for you. There's been a lot of outside noise about how Vegas operates, especially with the LTIR rules, no state tax. But what can you speak to your amateur and pro scouting staff when it comes to the moves that you've made, to the players that you've brought in to be this aggressive year after year?
Well, the way that our organization was founded as an expansion team, one of the most important things we did was put together our pro scouting staff. So when you go through 30 teams and do a deep dive on all the teams like we did, it really, that group was important from day one. Our amateur staff, who have drafted a lot of good players, sometimes we trade those players, right? And they've enabled us to be able to make some deals where we include players that we've drafted previously, or we take their pick on them and make the deal happen that way. So that's been the nature of our staff. We've had very close to the same staffs in place since day one. We've got some great people that are in our organization. They're relied on and they're valued. So that's how we've built our teams.
Last one, right side front row.
John, from day one, you've talked about the mindset being the most important thing. This team, throughout the course of this postseason, every big game they play, it's like they play it like they know the outcome and they know they've won. There's no fear, there's no hesitation. What is it?
They know how to do it. They have experience. They've as this organization, since its inception, the amount of playoff hockey they've played, and the amount of people that are in that room from 23, they know how to do it. And like I said, I think X's and O's are very important in today's game. Nothing is more important than a mindset, a mental toughness, a will, if you need in certain situations in playoffs. Our guys get it, and I think that's the major piece of foundation that we have in the organization.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So that was John Tortorella and Kelly McCrimmon as they spoke to the media earlier today at Media Day, Stanley Cup Final edition. And, there were a couple of things that stand out to me in listening to that a second time. The the idea of Pavel Dorofeev not just being a goal scorer, because that's what he is, right? Like, that's what he was. That is what the organization initially looked at with Pavel and said, this is a guy that could put the puck in the back of the net. And Kelly has mentioned that on the program before, that there are glimpses you get of young players as they are working their way into the National Hockey League in a full-time role. You get glimpses at the American Hockey League level. You get glimpses when they're in the National Hockey League. And then it's all about kind of finding ways to put it all together. But with Pavel Dorofeev, and what John Tortorella mentioned, is the puck finds him on the ice, but that isn't a coincidence, right? Like, it isn't a coincidence the puck is finding Pavel Dorofeev, because he's doing the right things away from the puck so that the puck finds him in really good areas, really dangerous areas on the ice. The fact that Dorofeev is putting the puck in the back of the net with regularity the way that he is tremendous. Now, let's see if we can do this right now. Darren Millard, are you there? Can you hear me?
This is where I should pause.
Oh, yeah, that'd be mean.
I can't really hear you.
Can you hear me?
But I can't hear you.
Okay, I can hear you. That's fantastic.
Getting a bit of an echo on my end. Just if
Okay.
Joseph can tweak that and figure it out. But I got you.
All right. Well, we just played Kelly and Torts from earlier today. The idea that
Good
Pavel
laugh by
Dorofeev-
Kelly, by the way.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
the Danny Webster. That was sneaky funny by Kelly McCrimmon.
Well, I think if there's one thing we've learned about Kelly McCrimmon over the years is that he's pretty funny. He's
Sneaky
pretty
funny.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you want to take a break and we can get into some more sound on the other side of it, or do
Yeah,
you want to
'cause I'm
comment
exhausted.
more? Okay. All right. Well, you were doing a lot of heavy lifting in the background, right?
I was plugging stuff in. I was hanging upside down from the ceiling trying to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
Ends up had nothing to do with me.
Yeah, well, take that to the bank. Feel good about it. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more on the VGK Insider Show. It's Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Now, back to the VGK Insider Show.
Eve of the Stanley Cup Final between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Carolina Hurricanes. Game number one coming your way from the Novo Center in Raleigh tomorrow night. It is a 5 o'clock start. All the Stanley Cup Final games will be 5 o'clock starts in Vegas. 8 o'clock start local here in Raleigh tomorrow night, and then we'll switch to late afternoon for games 3, 4, and if necessary, 6. Darren Millard, along with Ryan Wallace, covering the Stanley Cup Final from both Raleigh and Las Vegas. And this is a series that has some interesting parallels, interesting contradictions as well. You've got the two coaches involved in this series, in John Tortorella and Rod Brind'Amour. John Tortorella coached 8 games in the regular season for Vegas. Rod Brind'Amour has coached the last 8 years for the Carolina Hurricanes, and they're going to clash looking for a Stanley Cup championship for their organizations.
Yeah, I mean, obviously two different paths to get here for Rod Brind'Amour. He's been the pillar of consistency for Carolina over the years. And for John Tortorella, he was the exact right hire at the exact right time to maximize this team. And again, you can't really argue with the results. For Torts, he went 7-0-1 down the stretch in the 8 games in the regular season, and he's gone 12-4 in the postseason en route to the Stanley Cup Final. So different approaches from a head coaching perspective, but it all leads to the same road.
And right in the middle of the room at today's media availability was the Stanley Cup. And you know it's the Stanley Cup Final. You're aware of what's at stake, but then you walk around the corner, and there it is. Got a chance to just go up, take a look at it, to take a picture of the Golden Knights engraving of all the names. And one of those players that hopes to get his name on the Stanley Cup for the first time is Mitch Marner. Interesting. Again, the connections between these two franchises or contradictions. This would be more on the similarity side of things. The Carolina Hurricanes looked into Carter Hart. The Carolina Hurricanes tried to trade for Mitch Marner. So there's a connection. Noah Hannafin played for the Carolina Hurricanes. William Carrier lines up for the Carolina Hurricanes today. So there's some crossover there. But for Mitch Marner, the Vegas Golden Knights are the beneficiary of Mitch Marner invoking his no-trade clause last year at the trade deadline. And they were able to work out a relationship. And Mitch Marner now gets ready for his first appearance in the Stanley Cup Final and spoke earlier today.
Yeah, it feels great. Obviously, you work to be in these situations. You work to be in these moments. So, just extremely grateful and excited to get going. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, Freddie was one of the guys when I first came into the league that was just very open and, very inviting to me. Invited me over, invited me to dinners. After games, we'd always go out to eat and just hang out and talk hockey. And, yeah, he was one of the guys that really just brought me in and made me feel really comfortable since day one.
Why do you think you've had so much success in these playoffs so far?
I don't know. I'm getting put in situations where, I think I'm getting the puck in good areas. I'm scoring when I get opportunities. I think at the same time when I've put people in good areas, they've been scoring as well. So, I think there's just a trust of one another and in different situations in different areas that, you trust the guy to make a play, and he's been doing it. Yeah, it's been great. I was just saying, I think you look at our team, you love all four lines, you love all three D pairs. You have trust whoever's going over the boards with whatever's at stake or whatever needs to be done. So, yeah, it's been incredible to watch all four lines just go to work and really do their thing.
We all know Carolina tried to acquire you at the trade deadline. Do you ever think of that world that could have been you?
No, I'm not a guy that lives in the past. I think I've spoken about that a lot. I'm in the present. I'm here in the moment. Like I said, I'm extremely excited to get going. Yeah, Carl brings a lot. I think, I always said that, I got to see him early in the start of the year. I thought he was an amazing player, but obviously we lost him to that injury. And then since he's been back, being on his side now, just how responsible he is with the puck, how responsible he is D-zone-wise. Just seems how he makes the right play in a lot of moments that make it easy on his wingers or his D-man. So, yeah, it's been incredible to be by his side. Like I said, I think we're growing chemistry as we keep going here, which is great as well. And we're having a lot of fun with each other and joking around. So that's something that's always great too. Yeah, that he brings that fire. At the same time, at different moments, he brings something else as well that he knows he needs to. So I think he's very good at reading the momentum, reading the moments in the locker room, reading what the team needs, and he'll adjust off that, which is really, really special, I think.
What do you like about this dressing room? Obviously, a completely different crew than you knew previously in your NHL career. What did you learn about this Vegas group over the year?
Well, I think, looking on the outside, you always know that Vegas wants to win. They always want to, have a deep team that, is hard to play against. And being a part of that now, you definitely see it. Like I said, all four lines going over the boards, you have a lot of trust in them that they're going to do the right thing. And, yeah, it's been fun.
Mitch, how old were you when you first started dreaming
Memory-wise, probably 5 or 6, but honestly, probably before that. I remember just sitting on the couch with my dad and my brother and just watching teams win the Stanley Cup in, early 2000s and stuff like that, and just seeing them hoisted. And, I think at that point I didn't know as many players as my dad, but obviously just seeing some of the legends do it, it was, something that you dreamt of and something that you always wanted to do.
What he said to you guys, if you can look back on it, and how have you been so good at buying into that mental change?
Well, I think he came in and knew that our group was older. We were a veteran group. I think obviously we had a lot of guys that did pretty special things throughout the past couple of years. So I think he just knew he just needed to come in and make sure that he got us ready to play the game. And, if needed to in the moments, let us know about a mistake or something like that. But I think he's done a great job of also just coming in, getting us fired up, and then kind of getting out of the way and letting us do our thing too.
I know in Toronto you were known as one of the more vocal guys in the room. When you join a new team, do you sort of ease yourself in, and how much longer does it take to sort of get that confidence with these guys?
Yeah, I think right away I did, to be honest. I'm a pretty outspoken guy. I bring a lot of energy. I like to have fun. I like to try to get to know my teammates as quick as possible. So I think pretty early on I got pretty acquainted with the group. I saw that everyone is a pretty vocal guy in our locker room and jumped right into it. Who, sorry? Dom? Yeah, he's been great. I think he's done a great job of just reading penalty kills of how we can, exploit them or find holes in them. I think, he's also done a great job of just giving us the freedom to kind of do our thing out there, and he has trust that, if he gives us the right game plan, that we'll just go out and exercise it.
You mentioned the other day you were at the Stanley Cup party.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a part of that, do you ever envision that, hey, it would be cool to have my own one day?
Yeah, I definitely did. I was with my grandma at the time. I remember when I went, and I remember it was really cool. I was quite young at the time. I just remember him and his buddies just having a great time. Him and his family really enjoying the whole thing, and how great he was at giving back as well. And I don't know. I think at that moment you try to just envision that one day you would love to do that as well, and be able to have that kind of party.
Mitch, I know a lot of guys have taken games, and I know Matt Martin is one of those guys. Is there just someone that people lean on throughout this season, throughout the playoffs, want to talk to outside this organization?
I think I'm always talking to guys throughout the season. One of my closest buddies that I've talked about a long time is Jake Muzzin. I've always talked to Jake. Him and Kyle Clifford are really close friends of mine, so I've been talking to those two quite a bit throughout the year. And then, of course, I've been very fortunate with some legends as well, of Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau, Matty Martz as well. So all those guys. I check in quite a bit with everyone, to be honest. Giving FaceTimes. Usually if Miles is napping, I'm usually FaceTiming someone outside and hanging out and trying to catch up with friends that I haven't seen in a while. Yeah, it's great. I think all those fan bases are very passionate. I think maybe they don't get the eye of other places as much, but every single fan base is passionate. They want their team to win, and that's what you love.
What did you played against Colorado? You got into some dark times in
Yeah, I'll talk about that in the coming weeks if it happens. Right now I'm just focused on getting the job at hand and excited to start this up.
What have you enjoyed about the off-ice life in Vegas? Obviously, a new place to live for your young family as well.
Yeah, it's been great. I've been able to hang out outside with my son. Being in the pool. Just kind of do our thing. I think that's what we'd like to think. I think we're a veteran group like we spoke about. You have confidence in every single guy on that team and every single line going over the board. So, we always want to have that confidence in ourselves. I think I always wanted to trust myself. I always have confidence and trust that you can do special things regardless of where you are at in the season, playoff-wise too. And I think, like I said, I've been put in some good situations that I've been scoring in. I've put some guys in some positions where they're scoring in. So things are just all falling in the right direction. And I think that also builds your confidence to be better and want to be better. So it's all been good.
Couple more.
I think you can definitely lean on that in different moments of this series of just, being in big games and, having confidence that, you've done it before in big games and you've had that, feeling of how it feels and just staying calm throughout the day and the nights before and just being calm in that presence. So that's something I think that I'll try to lean on.
Last one, guys.
We haven't talked about it. We're not going to talk about it.
Okay, one more.
I don't know. I always talked that I love that number. I always really did. And obviously the legend Dougie wore it in Toronto and retired it. So as soon as I had an opportunity to change my number, I knew I was going back to 93. And it's been a good change.
Thank you, guys.
There's Mitch Marner, the Stanley Cup playoffs leading point producer at Media Day today in Raleigh at Lenovo Center as the Golden Knights get set for Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final tomorrow against the Carolina Hurricanes. First time that Vegas will start on the road in their 3 Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, it's certainly a different experience, right? Obviously, from my perspective, I've been at the 2 media days prior to the start of the Stanley Cup Final. A little bit of FOMO for me, I'm not going to lie, looking at and kind of consuming all of what happened earlier today at Lenovo Center, kind of getting ready for the Stanley Cup Final. But, yeah, it's going to be a different experience for Vegas. They've never started on the road, but I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. As we were able to see in the Western Conference Final, Vegas utilized their ability to start on the road to win a couple of games in Colorado. That really did bear out well over the course of the Western Conference Final. They'll be looking to repeat that here in the Stanley Cup Final.
Been exploring a thread about how much guys take from being here just a couple of years ago. And in particular, the players that went to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time in 2023 and are back here in 2026. And what gives them reason to be comfortable? What areas fires them up? Where is there an advantage over players that have never been on that stage? And it's interesting because a couple of guys were steadfast that it's not about the experience of going through the media day or the people that are coming out of every corner of your life, either congratulating you or maybe wanting access to tickets or letting you know that they're following along. It's not all of that. It's the pure excitement of playing in the Stanley Cup Final. Having been through it and won, these players are very excited about being able to do it again and get back to what is such an intense atmosphere and the possibility of winning again. A couple other guys were honest, saying like 4 years ago, this situation or 3 years ago, this situation was different. It was not overwhelming, but it was like standing in front of a big fan, and you weren't able to enjoy it or take it all in as much because it was just happening so fast. From getting to the Stanley Cup Final to media day to playing, it was just bang, bang, bang. And this time around, they're able to really enjoy every step, whether it's the practice today at Lenovo Center or media day, be able to enjoy it, being able to be part of the show. And it was a show today, just like it was in 2023. So it's funny. I thought being comfortable going through this process would be the overriding theme of that question, and it was more just that the pace has slowed down this second time in 4 years getting to the Stanley Cup Final, but also how excited they are to do it again, play in a Stanley Cup Final again. and knowing that that carrot is there in the next week and a half, 2 weeks, it's available, but they're just legitimately ready to go. And they weren't cheering for either team, Montreal or Carolina, in the Eastern Conference Final. The series was simultaneous to Vegas, but the last couple of days, Vegas was waiting for an opponent. They weren't hoping for Carolina to end that series because they wanted to play Carolina. They were hoping that Carolina wrapped it up so they could get going in the series.
Sure.
Just start this thing, drop the puck, and get underway.
Yeah, I think that's the mindset you have to have as a player. You want to have as a player. Like we talked about it kind of leading into Game 5 of Carolina-Montreal, is that, as a player, you don't want too many days off. You want to get going. From a Golden Knights perspective, the players that have been through this before, that have been to a Stanley Cup final before, that have won a Stanley Cup, that you just want the Stanley Cup final to start. You want to get into Game 1, you want to get into the series, and you want to inch closer and closer to winning the thing again in the case of a lot of Golden Knights. So in that situation, it kind of timed out perfectly, I think, for Vegas to get a little bit of rest and to get right back into a series, which will start tomorrow.
Stanley Cup Final week is upon us, so we'll take a break, continue on the VGK Insider Show on the day that the media had their opportunity to poke and prod and get inside this series. Carolina hosting Vegas. This is the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
You're listening to the VGK Insider Show.
Dropping the puck in the Stanley Cup Final tomorrow night here in Raleigh. Eastern Conference champion Carolina Hurricanes have home ice advantage to start the series against the Vegas Golden Knights. Both teams arrive here on big-time rules. The Golden Knights sweeping the Colorado Avalanche in the Western Conference Final, have won 6 games in a row, are 12-4 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Carolina Hurricanes, with a gentleman's sweep on the Montreal Canadiens, have only lost once in the entire Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, which is remarkable in and of itself, that Carolina is in the Stanley Cup Final having only played 13 games. But, good on them. They've been on an absolute tear. They got the job done through the first 2 rounds. Yeah, Montreal was able to take advantage of, a spot where there would be inherent rust on the Hurricanes in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final. And then Carolina snapped right back into form and dispatched the Montreal Canadiens in incredibly efficient fashion.
A lot has been made about the Pacific Division this year, and I'm on record saying the hockey world owes the Golden Knights an apology for that, the Pacific Division an apology for that, given that the Pacific Division, once again, represents the Western Conference in the Stanley Cup Final. But the Golden Knights' path to get to the Stanley Cup Final involved beating a couple of teams from the much heralded Central Division to get here in Utah and Colorado. And if you look at the paths and say, okay, was one easier than the other, you'd be hard pressed to convince me that Carolina didn't have the much more downhill. You can take your foot off the pedals a little bit, route to the Stanley Cup Championship Series.
Yeah, I think that's a perfectly fair argument to make. Ottawa, I thought the Senators would have been better than what they showed. They just couldn't score. They couldn't find the back of the net. And
that was a hard
the reality
series.
Is
just wasn't hard series in score, like in games won, lost.
Yeah, I completely agree. And so, from there, they were able to get the Philadelphia Flyers, who we all kind of looked at and said, this is a win for Philadelphia, the team, but no one really expected them to be in that spot. So, I think for Carolina, they took advantage of the road in front of them. And that's incredibly important. That's why they're here in a Stanley Cup Final. And to your point, Darren, and you mentioned it, the path is the path, right? Like, you can only play the teams that are in front of you. And what the Golden Knights and Carolina Hurricanes have done is they've taken care of it. And now they meet in a Stanley Cup Final that we're all looking forward to. Hour number 2 of the VGK Insider Show is coming at you next. You'll hear from Jack Eichel and Mark Stone.
Live from the Richard Harris Law Firm Studios, this is the VGK Insider Show with Darren Millard and Ryan Wallace on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Coming up, Media Day at the Stanley Cup Final. Vegas Golden Knights and the Carolina Hurricanes meeting with the press, the broadcasters, everybody looking for their little scoop. Players at their own little pods available for one-on-ones throughout the day, or pseudo one-on-ones. That followed the appearance by Vegas Golden Knights general manager Kelly McCrimmon and head coach John Tortorella at the podium, all in the shadow of the Stanley Cup and the Conn Smythe Trophy, which were in attendance today at Lenovo Center. Both teams practicing today. We'll get into a little bit about what was heard and talked about throughout the lead-up to game number 1 tomorrow. It's the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas. The Golden Knights back in the Stanley Cup Final for the second time in 4 years, but third time in 9 years in the franchise's history. Compare that to Carolina, who are also making their third trip to the Stanley Cup Final. In 2002 was their first appearance, lost in a gentleman's sweep to the Detroit Red Wings, who were a powerhouse at that time. The Carolina Hurricanes won the Stanley Cup in a just extensive battle, just a gritty series, 7-game set against Edmonton in 2006. But haven't been back on this stage since. Went through an extended playoff drought, have been knocking on the door the last couple of years. So the idea that Vegas is on this stage for the third time in 9 years is even more amazing when you consider that Carolina/Hartford, which came into the league in the WHA expansion in the 1980s, this is their third trip here. And they've been around a lot longer, like most teams have, than Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, what the Golden Knights have done through their first 9 seasons is not typical. It just isn't. And yet we're in the midst of it. It's remarkable to see. It's really nice to watch an organization that is focused on putting the best product that they can on the ice, that it's focused on winning and getting to this stage year over year. And you know, because the Golden Knights have done it, you kind of think that it's how things should be. But this is a unique team that is doing unique things that really no other team has been able to accomplish in their first 9 years.
And Vegas has done it with 3 different coaches, 3 different starting goaltenders. The Carolina Hurricanes have built to this stage with the same guy behind the bench and more consistency in the last few years with Freddie Anderson. So, again, slightly different paths. The Carolina Hurricanes have been very analytically involved. The Golden Knights certainly use that to their advantage whenever possible. But there's different just ways to build their team. The Carolina Hurricanes are a pressure team. They play man-on-man throughout all 3 zones, but they come at you with 4 lines, and they skate, and they are all over you in your face. You have to be ready for that. You have to take care of the puck. You have to protect yourself against odd man rushes, but they are vulnerable too, the Carolina Hurricanes, in that they give up more breakaways than anybody else because of that pressure. Vegas will be trying to take advantage of that. Vegas is a very good rush team, trying to take care of advantage of turnovers and watch for that and being able to score on the rush. Brett Howden scored more goals off the rush than anybody else in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So there's a unicorn factor to how the Carolina Hurricanes play and approach the game. It's different than any other of the other 31 teams in the National Hockey League by way of their pressure. Man-on-man is used, and Colorado certainly played it a little bit as well. But they're just intensity and speed and pressure from first line, second, third, fourth, and all 3 pairs is different than you will see from anybody else. I've always been of the belief that the first couple of rounds, when they play somebody that's not necessarily a team that's thinking about winning the Stanley Cup, that's building, because Carolina's always been had the advantage in the seeding, certainly because of their strong regular seasons, that they could take advantage of that. But when you got into a deeper scenario where there's fatigue, deeper in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they played that style, they were vulnerable. And against a more elite team, they were vulnerable. They got over the hump of the elite opposition this year, and they certainly were full credit by getting through the first 3 rounds and won over the minimum. But this will be a different team in Vegas than they've played at all in the first 3 rounds of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, no question, it's the best team that they're going to face, right? And that's, a lot of respect to the Vegas Golden Knights. It's no disrespect to the teams that Carolina has been able to steamroll en route to the Stanley Cup Final, but the Golden Knights are just, they're built differently. They are a team that should be able to and can withstand that pressure. And if you break the pressure of the Carolina Hurricanes, their forecheck, that press, all of it, then there's opportunity to exploit. There's opportunity to break them down, and that's what the Golden Knights are going to endeavor to do in the Stanley Cup Final.
And Carolina will have success in this series just because they play such a in-your-face style of game. And one player told me today they have to just be aware of that, and when there is something that goes right for Carolina, you stop it there. And in that building, you have to be able to withstand a push from that team with that environment. So if you can withstand that and be able to answer back without one becoming two, you're in a really good situation. And the patience part of it, and that's one thing that got overlooked a little bit against the Colorado Avalanche. Remember back in game number 1, like there wasn't a goal for half that game. And Vegas was very patient and then got the Dylan Coghlan goal. In game 2, Vegas trailed for much of that game. Very patient. Didn't try to force anything. And finally were able to hit the board, and they were able to turn one into two. So being comfortable in close games is something that I think is a strength of the Vegas Golden Knights and something that they can turn to their advantage. Media Day today was fun. Got to catch up with a bunch of the different players that were scattered all around the room in 2 different waves. One of the more popular guys was Jack Eichel, who spoke to the media for an extended time. We'll give you a chance to listen in on the Star Forward's interaction with the media earlier today.
I think every year is different, and this experience is different in a lot of ways than it was in 23. And things change year to year, and I think you can draw from your experience a little bit, just knowing what to expect, right? Having had done it before, knowing what this is going to look like, and what the day before it kind of gets going looks like, and the things that come with playing in the finals. But I think every series and every season has its own stories, so trying to write that now. Well, I think it's important to be a bit selfish with your time and your energy and where you put your focus. Obviously a lot of people are excited, and this is an incredible event. It's an incredible event for the league. It's an incredible event for both teams, and you have so many people that have been in your corner and helped you get to where you are and get to the situation, and they want to share that experience with you, right? And that's great, but at the same time, we have a job to do, and our focus should be on playing hockey and doing that. And so everything that comes with it, I think whether you can, pawn things off on other people that are around you, that are close with you, whatever it might be, your focus should be on playing. And but it is great to be able to share this with, your loved ones and your family members and friends and the people that have helped you, through your journey and that have been there the whole time.
Jack, what's the sport?
I got a few of them.
What's the 4 months been like? I mean, in less than 4 months, you win a gold medal, and now you're in the Stanley Cup Final.
It's been a whirlwind. Just try and take it a day at a time. That's kind of my mentality throughout the season, and now here. That was an incredible experience in Milan, and having the opportunity to win gold, and everything that we were able to accomplish. But your focus, you try and shift it as quickly as you can coming off that, and get back into the season mode, and you're committed to your team and what you're doing in terms of trying to help the team find its stride down the stretch of the season. And for us, it was there were some bumps in the road, but here we are. And tons of credit to the guys in the room and our group for sticking together and believing in ourselves, believing in what we were doing, and finding ways to win hockey games, and kind of playing our best at the right times. Torts, the assistant coach, doesn't call bus times. Torts, the head coach, calls bus times. They're obviously quite different. It was great to get to know Torts a bit over the last 2 years. Short experiences, the Four Nations and then the Olympics, but getting to know him a bit then, and now obviously having the chance to play for him as he's our head coach. It's been awesome. He's a tremendous person, really cares. You can see that he cares, you can feel that he cares, and I think our team has felt that and responded well to it. I think it's the way that he communicates, the way that he interacts with you, and you just feel it. It's just a feeling, you interact with the person, you just get that sense that whatever they're saying, good, bad, ugly, whatever it might be, that they have your best interest in mind, and it's coming from a good place, and I think you feel that with Torts. A lot. Obviously his play and what he meant for our team. Phenomenal defender and had a heavy load in that tournament, and the same in the Four Nations. Made some incredible plays for our group. Pretty soft-spoken guy. He's a family man, and he's a tremendous teammate. Has a smile on his face every day. So it was a pleasure to get to play with him. Then those two experiences.
Jack, you're playing with three of you guys from the top 5 picks in 2015 are now teammates. What do you remember from 2015 when all the prospects hang out together and that, and then more than a decade later being teammates?
Yeah, it's funny. A lot's changed since then, but Mitch still looks the same. That was listen. So much has changed from then and to here, and I feel like you look at the three of us, we've grown up quite a bit, and whether that's off the ice in terms of you grew up from a young kid, teenager to now a young man, and with a family and your responsibilities and whatnot, and then obviously you grow up as a hockey player and mature, and you develop, and remembering that experience, it was awesome. Really cool. It's something that as a kid you see the prospects going to the Stanley Cup Finals, and you dream about being in that situation, and then having been in that situation. Chicago was playing Tampa. We were in Chicago for the finals. It was really cool being in the locker room. After morning skate, getting to meet some of the players, obviously going to the game, and then getting to spend time together. So we have a couple, pretty funny memories from that time, and a lot's changed since then, but some things haven't. It's been huge. He's been, he's been incredible for us. Playing in all situations, scoring big goals, making timely plays offensively, being a force back there defensively. So he's a huge part of our group, and he has been all season, and his games just continue to elevate as we've gone through the playoffs. Yeah, he's great. Dom's he's a phenomenal person, and he sees the game really well. He's taken on a good role, obviously, in the power play, and his ability to
communicate what he's seeing to us based on what the other team's doing, and then I think he's done a good job just relating to the players, and he spends a lot of time on the ice after practice with guys working on things, and he's been awesome. What have I learned from him? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a tough question because I always had such a tremendous respect for Mitch as a player. Playing against him in Buffalo, when he was in Toronto, playing against him in different international events, watching him as a fan from afar, of hockey. I've always thought the world of him as a player. I have a few friends and close people in my life who have played with him, and they all speak so highly of him as a person, his character, how he is in the locker room, how he interacts with people. So I always had Mitch in a really high regard and thought super highly of him. And, this year getting to know him, now obviously getting really close with him throughout the season, he's just solidified all my thoughts on him. I have an incredible appreciation for the way he plays the game, some of the things he can do on the ice, as well as the person that he is and what he's meant to our team off the ice and how he is as a person. And so he's been incredible for us all season, and it's been a lot of fun getting to know him and spend time with him as well.
George said a little while ago that when he came in here, less about X's and O's on the ice, more about a change in mentality. I'm just curious, if you look back at when he came in and he first addressed you guys as a team, what did he say to get you guys to all buy into this change in mentality?
I mean, I don't think he said anything super crazy. He came in, told us he was going to be honest with the group. Whether it was good, bad, whatever it was, he was going to be honest. Guys were going to know where they stand with him, and he wanted us to play more free, more aggressive, put more pressure on the other teams and whatnot. So that was the basis of what he said.
Was it hard to connect with him in such a
Not at all. No, not at all. He connected really quickly with our group, and we trusted him off the hop. Obviously, he's coached in this league for a long time. He has a great track record, and it was easy for us to just let him take the reins. And I think his ability to convey his message and connect with the guys and the way that he interacted with us allowed us to trust him and appreciate what he was doing.
Does that trust help build and change your confidence? Was it a big shift for you guys, just a matter of confidence?
Maybe a little bit. It's always tough. I mean, he came in with, I think, 8 games left in the season, so for him to be able to, connect with the group the way that he did, and get what he got out of us in terms of the on-ice product, I think it speaks a lot on the way that he. I think the way that he went about things. So a lot of credit to him.
Jack, I remember back in 2023 the night you guys kept screaming, "I got a mug, I got a mug," and since then you've got a ring and you've got a gold medal, and I think for me it felt like you wanted to prove to the world that you're going to win. Everyone now believes that. So this time around, is there anything that you still feel like you have to prove?
Well, I think you have to prove yourself every night you go on the ice, right? And I think that's the beauty of our game, the beauty of the sport, and beauty of sports in general. Every opportunity you go out there to compete is an opportunity to prove yourself. It's what an opportunity for our whole group. The goal for every team at the beginning of the season is to win and be the last team standing, and that was our goal in training camp, and here we are, right? We have a really tough test ahead of us with Carolina. They're a great team, and we think super highly of them, and we want to try and be the last team standing and win the series, and I think it would mean a whole lot to the organization. We take so much pride in representing Vegas and the fans there, and obviously what it would mean to all the guys in the locker room. Trending movie in the locker room. Well, we've been watching different movies on the road, team rooms, night before games, so
Well, I gotta ask what tonight's movie is then.
hasn't been decided. So Usually it goes somewhat off of what we watched recently. I'm always quoting the movie The Town, so that's kind of my go-to.
Compared to the 23, do you feel the same coming into this stage, or do you feel different?
I mean, it feels similar, but obviously there's some differences. I think for a lot of us, probably a little more at ease, just with knowing what to expect in days like today, and what comes with it. But at the same time, we're still playing in the Stanley Cup Final, and all the emotions that come with that, I think, are still here. Wouldn't you like to know? Yeah, it's tucked away. It's hidden. I mean, it's tough you can't put insurance on a gold medal. So, I don't need anyone. I don't need anything happening to that thing. But yeah. Not at all. No. I mean, I have the most respect for those guys, and if the situations were different and they had won, I think it would be the same. So, it was a great battle between the two teams, and luckily we were on the right side of it. But no, I wouldn't do that.
You went through even this sort of similar to what Mitch went through.
Yeah. Mitch and I have had conversations sort of about some of the things we've been through in our past, and he's opened up to me about some of the things that he went through, and I've opened up to him about some of the things I went through, and I think it's probably good for both of us to have done that, and those are conversations I think that just kind of stay between Mitch and I. By you?
Well, not me personally, but I am media.
No, I do I think he was unfairly treated. As a teammate and a friend of his and somebody that cares about him and his family, of course I do. I mean, I think the world of Mitch as a person and a player, and anybody that has, negative or bad things to say about him, obviously I want to, I disagree with them because I think highly of him. Yeah, so no, of course I feel that, but and at the same time, I think everyone's, entitled to their opinion, and people are going to write things good, bad, whatever it is, and that's the nature, I think, of our business. And Mitch is a big boy. He's got some scar tissue to show for it, but of course I don't like people saying bad things about him because I care about the guy.
Jack, there's been this perception of the Golden Knights, as you know, that they're the evil empire. A lot of your teammates say they like that. They like the fact that that's kind of a motivating factor to be the bad guys in the league. How do you perceive it?
I don't know. It's a place a lot of people want to play. So it can't be that bad, right? It can't be that much of an evil empire. I don't know. I mean, you can say it's because, we're aggressive and maybe we do things a little differently, this or that. But obviously, whatever the organization's been doing, and I've only been a part of it for half the time, but obviously whatever the organization's been doing, they've been doing something right? It's had success, and, that starts with our owner and Bill Foley and George McPhee and Kelly and everyone else that's been a part of it, and that runs through our training staff, that runs through our equipment staff, that runs through all the people that work in our front office and work in the business side of things. So I think you feel that when you're there and when you spend more time there. It's a great organization to be a part of. It's a great city to live in. It's a great city to play for. So I have nothing but great things to say about the organization. And, sometimes when, people have success and, good things happen, and other people like to try and drag them down. So it is what it is.
I understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when is the due date? Roughly.
These are personal questions.
I'm just curious how close to all this going on.
We'll be all right. Yeah. Yeah, we'll be all right. Okay. Yeah.
Jack, Dorothy, how have you seen him grow
since he first got here? Yeah, obviously he's rounded his game out. I think Pav's always been a guy who can, put the puck in the net, and he's got a lethal shot and an incredible scoring touch. But I think you've seen him learn how to do a lot of other things, whether that's protect pucks low, his play in the D zone, his attention to detail, his competitiveness. I think you've seen it all continue to get better, and so happy for him and the success he's having right now, and it's well earned. I think Ivan helps him a lot. Yeah. I think Ivan helps him a lot. I mean, it's they have a fantastic relationship. They're obviously really close. Ivan's been doing this for a while. He's had a lot of success in this league, and he's a tremendous person that he understands a lot of things and the right way to do things, and I think he's helped Pav a lot. Go ahead. You've been waiting to ask a question. Go ahead. Yeah.
What are your earliest memories of the Stanley Cup final and just watching it?
Yeah, earliest memories of the Stanley Cup Final. Well, I mean, I think growing up was a huge fan of Crosby. So one of my first memories was when he won his first Stanley Cup with Pittsburgh. I was in Montreal playing in a hockey tournament myself, and watched that in the hotel with the team, and that was one of the first memories. And then the Bruins winning, that was pretty cool. When the Bruins won, it was huge for Boston, and I was a young kid, and I think I was in maybe the 7th or 8th grade, and seeing the Bruins win the Stanley Cup and kind of the excitement and what came with that in the city of Boston. Those are probably two of my earlier memories with it. I watched the Stanley Cup every year growing up as a kid. Sometimes you're younger, you don't remember it as well, but those are two of the more profound memories I had. Well, I think it was always a dream. It's just, I honestly, I don't know. I mean, even when you make the NHL, it's just, how hard it is to get here and be in this position and have the opportunity to win and then to be able to do it. I mean, I think it's a dream of every player that's in here, and the guys that have done it, I think it's still their dream to do it again. So, I don't think that will ever change.
As someone who's gone through intense injuries, rehab, what can you say about Carlson coming back?
Yeah, incredible to have the time off that he had and to come back and make it look like he hasn't missed a beat. Just so impressive. And I know how much work and time and effort Carl put in the whole year to rehab, and it's not easy. I mean, that can be really hard, and there's a lot of trying times during that. You're by yourself. You feel like you're away from the team, and mentally it can really wear on you. And for the amount of time that he was away from the game to come back and have as much of an impact on the game as he did, it's just a huge testament to him as a person and all the work he put in, and obviously a huge credit to our staff, the training staff, to get him prepared to play and put him in a position where he feels that confident going out there and playing in a playoff game and making an impact.
Stone healthy, this lineup is deeper than it's been at any point in the year, and you can see the results compared to basically every month.
Yeah, and I mean, teams deal with injury throughout the season. We obviously, we had the injury bug at times this year, and we battled through it. Different people stepped up at different times of the year. You had different people come in the lineup. Obviously made some moves at the deadline, brought some new faces in, some different guys, and a lot of credit to guys that were in, guys that that got hurt and worked their way to get back and get healthy and have an impact on the game. So it's all part of it. We feel really good about our group right now and the way that we're playing, and I just want to try and show that. What's that?
I was just going to ask you, when you're on the bench, when you're on the ice, do those guys speak Russian to you?
Yeah, usually I tell Ivan in English what to tell Pav in Russian.
No, but like, just you end a shift, you get off the ice.
Yeah.
Is their default speaking Russian to each other?
I mean, normally it can be at times, and then at times they're I mean, when they talk to each other in a one-on-one setting, it's in Russian. I think Pav's English is good.
Right.
Ivan's English is really good. But I think you just naturally fall back on the language that you were, taught at a young age, and they probably understand and can, communicate that a little better. At times I'll tell Ivan something in English to tell Pav in Russian just to make sure he understands it well. But I mean, they're inseparable, and it's been great playing with him.
Listen in to Jack Eichel from today's Media Day. The captain on the way, Mark Stone, as we continue on the eve of the Stanley Cup Final on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Now, back to the VGK Insider Show.
VGK Insider Show rolling along here. Media Day, Stanley Cup Final. Vegas, Carolina, Game 1. Kick things off tomorrow, 5 p.m. puck drop. 4 p.m. pregame show. I'll be hanging out at the Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar inside TI, so come on down tomorrow and watch the Golden Knights take on the Carolina Hurricanes. As mentioned, Media Day was today. Let's hear from the captain, Mark Stone, as he addressed the media.
Feels great. Excited to be here. Excited another opportunity to compete for the Stanley Cup. It's been a long week. A lot of practice, so it's excited to get going. Helps. There's good players here. There's a lot of good players. I think we've created something that people want to be a part of. We have a lot of, assets that the team puts for us to be successful, whether that's at the practice facility. If you need something, they'll make sure it happens. So that's the organization, the culture that's been built here.
Mark, does this feel different than 2023? Do you feel different?
Maybe a little different, but obviously it's second time around for me, third time around for some of the other guys, but still feels the same, still the same excitement.
What did you learn about Torts?
I think Torts has come in as expected. He's honest with us, whether a game's good or bad. If the game's good, he makes sure to let you know, but if it's bad, he makes sure to let you know too. So that's what I like about him. He's got tons of energy, brings a lot of juice to the locker room, and like I said, he's very good at seeing when things are going well and when things are going bad. It's correcting it. He didn't change a ton of X's and O's, so I guess more on towards the attitude side, I guess. Like I said, he's got a lot of energy. It's impressive. So I liked, with his. I don't know. It's really hard to explain. I think I'll appreciate it more, once the season's over and kind of understand exactly what changed, I guess. Well, I think the other combos were just working really well. When I was out of the lineup, you're not going to change the other two lines. Whether it was Jack's line with Pav and Barb's, they were clicking at a high clip, and the Marner line with Howden and Carlson were playing unbelievable too. So it was just finding me a spot to play in the lineup, and that looked like a good one. Yeah. Yeah. As a biased Canadian, I don't think you're going to have many finals with only one Canadian. But no, he's been great for us. He plays a hard game. He's a big man. That's what I appreciate about him. He's a big guy, goes to the net, makes good plays. Proud to be Czech, obviously. No, he's just fit in really well with this organization. He's got a ton of energy, comes in with a big smile on his face every day, and just a joy to be around, really. Mm-hmm. No, because I was pretty good with the Four Nations last year, so we were pretty. Listen, we're best. We're best of friends. It's an unfortunate thing that we're from two different countries, and we're both proud to be from our country. So it's that's the only bad part about going to the Olympics is usually your teammates. One of your teammates is a couple of your teammates are gonna lose, but no, he's been as advertised since we've gotten him from Buffalo, and he's become one of my best friends. Oh, he's just, he hasn't come into our locker room and tried to, be something he's not, and he's not tried to change anything that we've created here. So he's been a perfect fit for us. We've added a guy who, we probably have never had in this organization with that type of creativity, but it doesn't change the way he plays. He's still a 200-foot player. He's still one of our best defensive players, one of our best penalty killers. So I think that's basically why they brought him in, was to add that type of creativity to a lineup that's already big and strong, and it hasn't hurt us because he's still one of our best defensive players. I don't know. I guess for me, I don't really care. He's with us now, and I'm really happy that he's with us. Yeah. Well, Shea's a really smart player. I think for us, it was maybe just monitoring the minutes a little bit, so keep him off the PK. But now with Petro out of out of the equation, he stepped in and has done an amazing job, really. He's a really smart player. He obviously has incredible skill. He's one of the best skaters, on the planet. So, but I think for him, he just gets himself into great positions, uses his body in a great way, and the way he handles the puck, whether it's with his clears, and he can play both sides, which helps too, right? He's probably the best defenseman in the league who plays his offside. I'm not sure. Probably just patience, right? If you get impatient against them, they make you pay. You start to throw pucks to the middle and, kind of do that kind of stuff. But you got to win. You got to be a little patient. You got to be okay with, chipping pucks out or making simple plays. Once you start to kind of, dipsy and do stuff like that, it opens up the ice for them. Honestly, I'm a big hockey watcher, but this year I haven't watched a ton. Just with the kids at home and a lot of travel and being out of the lineup, rehabbing, I actually haven't watched as much as I would have liked to, but I did watch the last couple games. So, they're a good team. They play hard, they play fast, and we're gonna have to be ready. Yeah. Aiden's he's an incredible teammate. He has a good time with the guys. He's always in a great mood. But for sure, anybody wants to play, right? He's a competitive guy at the end of the day, but he's a great teammate. The guys love him. Obviously, we've been through the situation with him in 23 where he helped us win, and he's doing the same thing for us right now. He's helping us win by showing up to the rink every day. A great attitude, taking shots. He's been awesome. Yeah, that's always been our MO here, right? We've always tried to have deep teams. I think our best teams we've had here are always the deepest. So whether that's adding, Dowder and Smitty and, guys at the deadline to give options. We did the same thing in October when we signed Carter. Obviously, he hadn't played in a couple of years, and we had injuries. Hiller got injured early in the season. Akira played great for us. It was kind of the next man up mentality, and now we're healthy. So only one guy can play, and Carter's played great. Who's that, sorry? Oh, yeah, Dom. Dom's been running our power play for the last couple of years, and we've been a top 5 power play in the league for that time. He does a lot of work with the special teams, especially the power play. So that can help you win games throughout a playoff series. Helped us win Game 3 with a big goal in the first minute of the second to start our comeback. He puts a good plan in place, but he's very open to change, and he really wants to work with the guys to put guys in the best positions.
Obviously, in Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
Joining a room that's really experienced about the best as well. How long in your opinion would it take for him to get feel like he could be a big voice in your room too?
Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously easy to ask him on that, but I felt like he was very comfortable from day one. But like I said, I think we've built something here that people want to be a part of, and the reason people want to be a part of it is you can come in and be yourself. Obviously, if you're not a good guy, guys are going to put you in your place, but that's not Mitch. Mitch is, a great guy, has a lot of energy, still has a lot of youthful energy, which is, kudos to him, right? He's been able to keep himself in incredible shape. But he still has that youthful energy that is contagious throughout a locker room.
That was Mark Stone's media availability from earlier today. I love that thought right there on Mitch Marner. Like, he comes in, youthful energy, and the room in Vegas is something that we've spent time on at various stages throughout their history. But there is something about this team, the culture that was built in year number one, that allows players to just be who they are, nothing more, and it fits inside the team construct. It's a big reason why they are 4 wins away from another Stanley Cup championship, and a reason why they are playing for the Stanley Cup tomorrow against the Carolina Hurricanes. Take a break, wrap things up on the VGK Insider Show. It's Fox Sports Las Vegas.
I'm on fire over here, lads. Come on, I need some back and forth. Come on, what do you got for me? What do you got for me? Now make it quick. Make it funny.
We're down to the wire. It's the last minute of play.
Wrapping it up here on the VGK Insider Show. Golden Knights, Carolina Hurricanes Stanley Cup Final starts tomorrow. Media day today. FOMO, I'll tell you right now. It's interesting because you look at different series, you look at different scenarios, how you get to this point on both sides of the ledger, Vegas and Carolina, and it's unique in that the Golden Knights, it's the first time they're going to be starting on the road in the Stanley Cup Final. And I know that a lot will be made between now and Game 1 tomorrow at 5 p.m. of the atmosphere at Lenovo Center, the atmosphere that Carolina Hurricane fans bring to the building night in and night out. And listen, it was electric. You could see it in their series with the Montreal Canadiens. You could see it when Carolina was on the cusp of punching their ticket to the Stanley Cup Final. But I go back to the Western Conference Final. I go back to what the Golden Knights were able to do the first 2 games up in Ball Arena, in silencing that crowd and taking a commanding 2-0 series lead. I'm not sitting here saying or suggesting that that's going to happen here in the Stanley Cup Final, but the reality is, while it is not easy to start on the road, there are pressures for sure in this spot for Carolina to deliver a strong performance in game number 1. And for the Golden Knights, a team that has been here before, a team that, quite frankly, shouldn't be overwhelmed by the moment. And then you even look at guys like Tomas Hertl and Colton Sissons. They've been to a Stanley Cup Final as well. They're not going to be overwhelmed by the moment either. And so what you have here is an opportunity for a team that has been down this road before to potentially go in game number 1. And I'm not going to sit here and suggest that you're stealing a game. But the opportunity is there in front of the Golden Knights to do some damage in the first 2 games of the Stanley Cup Final. That should be the goal. That should be the expectation. Because while we understand there has been a lot made of the Pacific Division this year, and while we understand Carolina have been front runners from top to bottom this season in the National Hockey League, so too were the Colorado Avalanche. And so for the Golden Knights, a team that I think really does grasp the opportunity in front of them. The opportunity in front of the Golden Knights going into this Stanley Cup Final is very simple. Since Vegas has come into the league, no other team has won more playoff games, have won more playoff series than the Vegas Golden Knights. Another Stanley Cup, another championship puts you right there. Maybe even ahead of the Floridas, the Tampas, the teams that have been the class of the league, and you then become that class. I think that's right there for the taking for the Golden Knights, and I can't wait to see how they respond to it in game number 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. As I mentioned, I will be hanging out all day long. Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar inside TI. I'll be there for every single road game of the Stanley Cup Final, so come on down, say hello, always free parking. It's going to be a blast. Can't wait to see you all tomorrow. The Golden Knights, Carolina Hurricanes. Stanley Cup Final begins tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody.